Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pure Faith Podcast. I am Michelle Waymeyer, and this is my co-host and brother, Mitchell Heitkamp.
Hi.
You waved in my face. We ask that you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit the notification icon to be notified when we release new episodes. Is this when your new little thing does ding ding ding, boom boom boom,
it'll
ding, ding, ding.
Which that reminds me, for those of you who just listened to this through the podcast, that little sound you just heard, that is for the YouTube video.
It's a visual.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I watched because you asked me if I watched them, and I said no, I don't. And I was like, oh, I probably should watch this. And this last week's episode, and I did, and I saw the little thing that you did to the
subscribe and
and then I was like, oh wait, I remember my stomach growling halfway through, so I went forward on the YouTube video to that part, and I was like, oh, you didn't cut it out. So if you watched the last episode, you may not have heard my stomach growl, but Mitchell heard my stomach growl.
It threw me off.
It threw us both off. As you could tell, we both were like, we just stopped.
And it was long.
It was. So I ate something tonight so that way my stomach wouldn't do that, but maybe it wasn't enough, and it'll probably do it again. I hope not, but anyhow.
I'll ignore it next time.
Oh, shoot. I know.
It just caught me off guard. So
While he over here he'll make noises and stuff when he's doing his Bible study, and I'll be like, it's like sitting next to Dad.
Yeah.
No, it truly is like sitting next to Dad. Between you and Daniel, you don't breathe like Dad. The noises you make, you sound like Dad. Matt looks just like Dad. In my mind.
Okay.
I think he looks just like Dad. Daniel breathes and walks just like Dad. And for any of you that know my dad, you know how loud of a breather he was and how heavy-footed the man was for not being, he was a big guy, but he wasn't that big.
No.
He's heavy-footed. Daniel is heavy-footed.
It seems like you're airing your grievances. Pretty sure Daniel doesn't watch this, so.
No, Daniel actually does not. I think the only one of my kids that watch it probably on a regular basis is Noah and Elle. I don't even know if Olivia might watch it now, but during school she never watched it. She was so busy.
I did find out that Paige is 7 episodes behind.
Oh, only 7?
Only 7. So we should be good for a while.
Depends.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you don't have ice cream tonight?
No, that wasn't the reason.
Oh, and we both came in here tonight and we're like, he's tired. I'm like, I worked from home today, so I'm like, I told him I literally just ran a brush through my hair and slapped on a little makeup, and we just are here.
Yeah, we're here.
And nobody else is.
No.
It's just Mitchell and I tonight. So
That's okay.
yeah. So I do give a shout out to my husband. It's his birthday tomorrow, which is the 26th of May, which is not tomorrow for those that are watching this.
That would be in the past for those.
So sorry. I do that all the time. But anyhow, so he's got a birthday tomorrow. So yay.
Happy birthday, Don. Pretty sure I didn't watch this either.
Nobody knows that I'm here.
I guess that's something.
I didn't set a timer, just so you know. Are we doing a timer? You said tonight's going to be a short episode. Should I set a timer?
I don't even think you need to set one.
Okay. Excuse me while I wipe my eye.
Yeah, I rubbed my eye a few times already, too.
Did you? Fine. Okay. All right. Is there anything else going on?
Not really.
All right. You sent me a picture yesterday.
Oh, yeah. You like that? I might have to put that up on the video.
So we'll have Mitchell put the picture up on the video that he sent me and asked me if it was redneck enough. And I said, what happened?
So my boys have a John Deere Gator, the little electric John Deere Gator.
The toy one, yes.
Toy one. And Zeke's been having issues with one of his. Well, it's the gearbox is what it is.
Because he runs this little gator out to get the eggs every morning, right? Does he?
No.
Oh, he does?
No, he walks out to get the eggs.
Excuse me.
But he'll take the gator to the barn, and he'll like we actually use this gator for work. Like we'll put um weeds and stuff that we pull into the
Okay.
back of the gator, and he drives it over to the chickens and throws them into the chickens. And well, his gearbox was going out, so I had to tear it apart. But the new part should be here tomorrow,
Okay.
and so then I'll get it all put
Oh,
back
I thought it
together.
wasn't going to be until Tuesday.
Well,
You
the
tracked it?
tracking says it should be delivered tomorrow, though.
So just so, and as you'll see on this picture, that Mitchell's going to put up, that the back part of the gator is sitting on a cinder block.
Yeah,
and
it's up on blocks.
then it's up a box. But then, so the back part is sitting in the grass, and I said, first off, who's the mechanic? Because it's actually a cute picture, as you see. It's a cute picture. It's not redneck because it's a toy. If it was,
Ah, man,
yeah,
I
sorry,
tried.
you did, but I chose that it's a toy. It actually is kind of cute because they play with drills at my house. They play with like kids' drills. Excuse me, got a little tickle in my throat. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, who's fighting over the drill? Because they fight over the drill at my house.
No, this was actual mechanical work, so
Oh,
they
so
were
they
they
were
were
sitting
sitting they were sitting on the
observing.
back tires that I took off, was sat down. They were sitting on each one was sitting on a tire and just sitting there watching me.
That's a very hard to believe from your voice that they actually sat there.
I didn't say they were being good. I just said they sat there.
Oh my gosh, so funny. I need to
All
get a
right.
drink. My goodness.
All right, well, you ready to get started?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
ready.
something else we
Oh
should
yeah.
mention.
Go ahead.
Next week we will not be recording.
Which would be the episode released on.
No, the week after this one. I don't know. It's basically whenever you watch this, the next week there's not going to be an episode released. Just so you know. Unless you're watching this like
Right.
later, then there'll be another episode right after this one. But
If you are
we
regular, anticipating
yes,
the
weekly release.
yes, the release each week, you will not.
I don't think there's many people
I don't know.
anticipating the
I'm
release
telling you,
of
Bonnie
this.
Bargy, I think is. Mom is, but Bonnie, I think, really enjoys you. She probably does. She probably sits there and waits for the release so she can see it.
Bonnie, you need to get a life.
Don't tell her that's just one of our regulars.
Oh,
She now I don't know if she actually listens to the Bible study or just to me and you at the beginning. I have no idea.
well, good thing we haven't got to the Bible study yet.
Oh shoot. Oh, love
But
it.
anyways,
That's awfully
we're
dramatic. Anyway.
we're not recording next week.
We are not recording next week. Yes. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, we're ready to get into this.
Yeah, I think so. I
This
think
should be a short
so what are we?
episode.
But where are we? Because I
We
had.
we're
Are we at Matthew 4:23-25? I thought we just
yes.
did that.
We only got through verse 23 or last week. So we got to do verse 24 and 25.
Oh, okay. Oh, I
We'll
see
get
what I'm doing.
through
Okay, I'm
we'll
here.
get through that today, and then whenever we come back
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks of real time, then we'll be starting Matthew 5 in the Beatitudes.
Oh, fantastic. That'll be a nice break then. Finish this and then have a little
Yeah,
break. Well, for us, just for us.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe not for everybody else, but
But okay, so yes, last week we did cover Matthew 4:23. The only thing that I really want to highlight from that is the fact that Jesus was traveling throughout all Galilee. And that didn't mean that he was going to every single city in
oh yes, that
Galilee,
is
but he was
right.
just going to so many places in Galilee that it was easier to say all Galilee instead of listing every place that he went.
Right.
And I just need to mention that because that idea continues on through verse 24 and 25.
Okay.
So, verse 24 reads, So his fame spread throughout all Syria, and they brought him all the sick, those afflicted with various diseases and pains, those oppressed by demons, those having seizures and paralytics, and he healed them. So we already see how this same concept of the same concept of all Galilee is continuing right here in verse 24, where
Throughout
it
all
says
of
that
Syria.
his fame spread throughout all Syria.
Okay.
So again, to understand this all Syria, they're looking at this from a Roman point of view. At least Matthew is looking at this from the Roman point of view of all Syria, because for the Roman province of Syria, it would have contained all of the Old Testament Syria, as well as Palestine. Let me look here. The Herodian rulers, the prefect of Judea,
Mm.
and the cities of the Decapolis, which that may sound very confusing. I may have mentioned that to Paige last night when I was going through my notes, and she's like, I have no idea what you just said. I'm like, well, you probably don't listen to me anyways. That's okay. It's okay. I still love her. I
Love
love
you,
you, Paige.
Paige. I knew you were gonna do
Anyways,
that.
um,
I
you
knew.
threw me off.
I knew you were gonna do that. Anytime you say something like that, you always say "Love you, Paige." Every time.
Anyways, okay, so maybe this is going to take the
No,
whole
it's
time.
not. No, it's not. We're good.
Anyways, I think I said that like 3 times.
Don't say it again. Use a different word.
Therefore,
Yeah. I love when you laugh so hard you cry and your face gets so red.
oh,
It cracks me up.
I can't even see.
Barely
So all these areas
areas.
that I just mentioned,
Yeah, there were a lot of them.
basically it was just a big area.
Syria.
All Syria. If I could find a good map, which I looked whenever I was doing my notes, I couldn't find a map that I liked. I will look again. If I can find a good map,
You'll
then
put it
that's
up?
probably what you'll be looking at right now.
Okay.
But I couldn't find one that I liked. So I'll try to get a map to show you what this represents as far as this area. But Matthew's use of all Syria, um, this the reason the reason Matthew
Mm-hmm.
was using all Syria here is to just highlight the fact that Jesus isn't traveling throughout all Syria. He's just traveling throughout all Galilee, but his message is spreading throughout all Syria.
Oh, okay.
So Jesus is just traveling in a small area, but yet his
His
message,
fame.
his fame,
Oh, I see what you're
spreading
saying.
throughout a much larger area than what he's traveling through.
Mm.
And this is just um, another piece of evidence for the whole concept when we did the study on the Via Maris, why he chose to go to Capernaum to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
to be centrally located, to be on those main roads where
Mm-hmm.
he can just give a message at one spot and then that's going to spread out through everywhere. Well, this is evidence of that is happening. Even though he is traveling in a small area of Galilee, that message and his fame is spreading throughout a much, much larger area.
Mm.
So that's what he was meaning by that all Syria. And they brought him all the sick, and he healed them. That is just kind of a paraphrase there.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
so again, now we've seen all Galilee, we've seen all Syria, now we see all the sick.
Mm-hmm.
So this again doesn't mean that like every single sick person in the entire area was healed, but there was too many to count. It was just a large number.
It seemed like all of them, but there were probably even
Yeah.
more after that.
And I tried to look it up quickly before you got here. In The Chosen, in the show,
Yes.
there was a scene,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought the episode that I thought it was is in season 2, but it's where Jesus kind of set up camp with his disciples, and there was a long line of people coming to Jesus to be healed. And Jesus
Hmm.
was kind of sitting in this tent, and
Oh
people were
yeah.
coming in, and
Yep, I
he was
remember this
healing and
episode.
healing and healing. And I thought that Matthew was out there walking around with his little piece of paper and notepad
Making notes
and
of
making notes and trying to keep track of how many people got healed and this and that. And
No, I think when Matthew had that paper, I thought he was just writing down the words. Is that when he was by the tree? I was thinking that's when I was
mm,
thinking that when Jesus went to heal and people were coming, he ended up having to leave the camp and do it away from the camp because there were so many people. Maybe that was a
well, he's
different
like
episode too.
right outside the
Okay.
camp.
Yeah, and I don't remember. I don't remember. Did they? Yeah, you could be right. There could have been two times that he went off to do that.
I don't know, but just the scene that I had in my mind, which isn't, maybe I just made it up. I
Maybe
don't
you
know.
did. I don't
Maybe
know.
it's just my mind's eye. But um, Matthew was trying to figure out, how many people, trying to keep track
Because he is a numbers
because he
person.
was a numbers
Hmm.
person. He wanted to know how many people, wanted to have good numbers, and there were some people that came out, and he went up to one of the other disciples and was like, "Hey, how many people was that Jesus healed there?" And the other disciple was just kind of threw his hands up, said, "I don't know, a lot."
Yeah.
And that's really kind of this
How this
concept
is.
that's
Yeah.
going on. It's like, how many
You
were there?
you stop counting after so
Yeah, you
many.
just all of them. It's
Yes, it's all of
whatever.
them.
It's all of them. And so that's what, again, what he is just trying to iterate here is that there was just too many to count.
Too many to count.
But also notice that it wasn't just that there were so many, but it was every type of sickness
That's what I was
and
gonna just say
ailment
too.
and even
He probably
those.
wanted to have how many had this, how many did he
Yes.
heal of this, how many did he heal of this. Like
Yeah.
that's probably how Matthew wanted to break it down, but there were just too
There's too
many.
many. And even those that were demon possessed were getting healed, and so there was just so much going on that it was just easier to say all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other thing that we want to notice right here is, remember last week we highlighted the fact that Jesus was healing all those that he came across while he was traveling and teaching
Mm-hmm.
and preaching. Well, now in this verse it says that they brought him all the sick. So now this is switching gears from Jesus going out and traveling and healing and preaching and teaching to now everybody from all of Syria is bringing their sick to Jesus where
Mm-hmm.
he's at. They are seeking him out.
Right.
So it's just kind of has a different, uh, uh, very quickly in the matter of this one verse, things change from Jesus out traveling and healing to Jesus basically staying in one location and people coming to him.
But that's because the word got out to so many that they probably knew that he wasn't going to have
Yeah.
time to come to their, because as you said, he didn't hit every city on his in
No,
Galilee.
no, he
So
didn't.
the people that were in those other cities heard of it, so they had to come to him because they knew he wasn't going to come to them.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not saying Jesus didn't travel,
Right.
like he didn't stop traveling, but there was just so many people coming to him that he wasn't making it to all the cities, to all the
And I think
areas.
that we knew at some point too that he even said, didn't he, that I've healed as many as I can here. I need to move on
Yeah,
because I still need to do my teachings and I can't continue to stay here to heal. I need to
yeah.
move
We
on.
did discuss that briefly, which I don't know if it happens more, but right there at the end of well, whenever we talked about the same thing in Luke and Mark,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
that's where, he was like, he went out of the city and he was like, we need to travel to other cities
Yeah.
because this message is for more than just
Yep.
this city.
Yep.
So, um, so verse 25 reads, and great crowds followed him from Galilee and the Decapolis, and from Jerusalem and Judea, and from beyond the Jordan. So the great crowds followed him. So this idea of following, the way that this read in the original Hebrew, this same wordage that was used for this type of follow is the same the same type of follow. I'm stumbling
You
over my
are.
words.
I think it's because you're half asleep.
I might be.
Oh,
I might not even be here right now.
you
I'm
may
not even
not be.
sure.
This is like a weird experience.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyways, it's the same type of follow that the disciples were called to.
Hmm.
So whenever Jesus called the disciples and he said, "Follow me," this is that same type of follow that was mentioned to those disciples. But these disciples, this great crowd
Mm-hmm.
that is following him, they are disciples because if you look at what the actual definition of a
Of a
disciple
disciple
is,
is
it is just somebody who
follows
follows,
Christ.
well, follows or learns from a teacher
Oh, okay.
or, the general, I mean, the specific definition of disciple is anybody that would follow Christ, but the general definition is anybody who would follow or learn from a teacher or what was some of the other ones? Um, I don't know. There's a few different things, but somebody who teaches.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these people, this great crowd, could be considered a crowd of disciples, and this is going to come into play more once we get into our next chapter, chapter 5, at the beginning of the Beatitudes.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to, we are talking about these great crowds. Well,
Mm-hmm.
these great crowds is what we're going to be talking about whenever we get into the Beatitudes. And these are technically disciples by the sheer definition of what disciples are. But we also need to realize that the disciples that Jesus actually calls,
Mm-hmm.
those are the disciples that are going to go on and become the apostles.
Apostles. Mm-hmm.
So they're special. All this great crowd that's following Jesus, he didn't call them to follow him. They seen him heal people. They seen him do miracles.
Mm-hmm.
They seen him do all kind of amazing things, and they chose to follow Jesus. And the reason this great crowd really isn't talked about in much depth is because it's constantly changing.
Mm.
Some people may follow him from this town to this town to that town, but then they go back home. But then you have other people coming in and following him from the next few towns, and like it's just a constant rotation of people.
Mm-hmm.
But while they are following Jesus, they can be considered disciples.
Okay.
And also, and this is actually the last thing I have, so I don't know how we're doing
Mm.
on time, but
I don't know. I didn't set an alarm.
I don't know. The fact that they, um, all these areas that are mentioned, so from Galilee and the Decapolis, from Jerusalem and Judea, and from beyond the Jordan. So all these areas are what Matthew meant by all Syria. So, you know, in the last verse he said all Syria. Well, now it's breaking it down by different regions.
Mm.
And the interesting thing to notice with this is these are all regions except Jerusalem is mentioned. Jerusalem is the only city mentioned in
City.
this list.
Mm.
All the rest are regions. Galilee,
Mm-hmm.
Judea,
Yeah.
Decapolis. Jerusalem is the only city mentioned. And the reason Jerusalem is mentioned individually, why Jerusalem is singled out, is because of the significance that it has for
Yeah.
the Jewish people.
Okay.
The fact that that is the location of the temple, the fact that
Mm-hmm.
that is the Mecca, that is the central focal point of the Israelite nation. The fact that Matthew mentions Jerusalem just means like, hey, yeah, it's Judea, but it's also Jerusalem. Even those in the city of Jerusalem closest to the temple are coming out to follow Jesus.
Gotcha.
So, but that's really all I have.
That's all we have to finish up Matthew 4.
That is the end of Matthew 4.
Wow.
It's been, what, 3 years?
Yeah, you were just saying you thought how many episodes you think we've published?
Oh,
Is that what you were
this
saying?
this episode I believe is episode 98.
Okay.
Yes, this episode is episode 98.
Okay.
So, it won't be long, we'll be at 100
That's pretty
episodes.
cool. That's pretty
Are
cool.
we doing something special for our 100th episode?
I mean, do you want to have a party?
I mean, every time you're with me is a party because I am a party.
Oh, I thought it was
I
because
had to clarify that.
Oh, okay. I thought it's because you thought it was me.
No.
Make your day.
Maybe the two of us together make a party.
Oh, I'm sure some people probably think we do. So, but no, that's pretty awesome. I don't know if I ever thought I would ever get to as
Mhm.
far as it has.
No. But yeah,
It's been interesting.
it's
I've learned a
been a
lot.
journey.
I mean, I've learned a lot just because, I sit here and
But how? We're only in Matthew 4.
I learned a lot. But think about it. We're only in Matthew 4, but where did we all go?
We've covered a lot of area.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And Elle was telling me that she joined a women's Bible study in Mississippi, where they're at. So it's some women who gather and they go over one verse. And she said how much there is to one verse, but yet there's so much jumping around.
Yeah.
It's hard. And that's how we do it. I mean, that's how you do it. There could be one verse, especially not so much recently. But there's times where you look at one verse and then we're jumping here and we're jumping here. I mean, when we were actually just doing the podcast before we even came on to do, the YouTube, I remember us jumping all over the place because mind you, I had a table, I had a book, I had notes, we're going here, going there. You had your Bible out. We were constantly flipping back and forth. And, of course, we don't do a lot of that now because you have it all in your notes.
Yeah.
But, we did. We did a lot of jumping.
I put it all in the notes that way we're not
Fumbling through.
fumbling around trying
Yeah.
to find out where we need to go in the Bible and everything
Right.
else. It's right there. Just keep scrolling. But
Yeah.
trying to make it more streamlined,
Oh, it's streamlined.
especially since this really isn't edited, as you noticed from last week.
I noticed from last week.
I thought it was funny.
I was like, I kept saying you can cut it out, and I'm like, oh, he's not gonna cut that out. So I did. I watched it, like, okay, so he didn't cut it out, but that's all right. I mean, it is what it is. No one said anything to me yet, so maybe nobody realized it.
Probably
So,
not.
yeah. All right, so that's the conclusion. Matthew 4.
Conclusion of Matthew 4.
All righty. So when we come back in 2 weeks, we will start with Matthew 5. And that's
Yep.
where you're talking about the
Beatitudes.
Beatitudes.
Yep.
So
I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take us to get through the Beatitudes. I'm hoping we can get through more than just one in an episode. But I don't know.
okay. We look forward to it. All right, so let me just finish this up.
Okay.
Grab my paper. We thank you for joining us. Please leave a comment on this video or go to the contact page on purefaithliving.com to send us a message. And as always, if you like what you hear, then we ask that you share this show with others so we all can work together in spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will talk to you again next time.
Have a blessed day, everybody.
I wave.